This is Water Elemental,
And Jolly Green.
and this is the fourth episode of the Hexology Podcast where we cover Hex, Shards of Fate.
And man, we got a nice juicy patch this week, don't we?
Yeah, we couldn't record last night, and I'm kind of glad we didn't because we got a huge patch this morning, so kind of benefiting from our laziness.
Yeah, but this thing's beefy. What do you want to talk about first?
Let's just go down the list of the patch notes. We got a lot of important stuff coming in through new cards, new socketed items, and a whole new game mode to cover, so...
Aw, heck yes.
Hex yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
Alright, so first of all, there is an entire, page of stuff they fixed. They upgraded the tournament interface, which is nice because for me it was almost unplayable. I don't know whether that was because people dropped out or not mid-game and it just bugged it out, but it says open tournament queues have been moved to the top of the tournament list rather than the bottom. Seems logical. Tournament filters have been introduced to help you navigate. Not sure what a tournament filter does, but
well,
I'm assuming that...
You can turn it on between either draft, sealed, or standard. Or constructed, I should say. So you're able to search if there's any full or empty, because you can join in a lobby without having to queue up for one. So if you see that one that is open and people are waiting for groups, you can just jump in.
It says players now receive messages normally in chat. Were they abnormal? I thought the chat function was actually pretty decent.
Sometimes you wouldn't get messages, because I've had times where I've tried to message you and you didn't get the message. So
Yeah, so lots of slice of life changes, few bug fixes in the general. Yeah, just kind of small stuff in there. Grammatical errors, all that nice stuff. Now we get to the good part, the new cards.
we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14 cards. I think. Around there. But a lot of interesting cards, a lot of ones that I think are going to get a lot of play as soon as their, kinks are figured out. But we'll just start from the top of the list. Shrine of Prosperity. It's a 2-cost artifact. At the start of your turn, reveal the top card of your deck. It gets a permanent 1/1 if it's a troop. Gains a extra charge if it's a resource. Your resources will give you 2 charges instead of 1. And non-troop, non-resources cost -1.
Okay, where's the downside on this card? I'm not finding it.
The downside is people
You
will know
reveal your cards?
Yes.
Yeah. But still, I mean, it says all troops get +1/+1, all your resources do double, and all your non-resources cost -1.
Keep in mind right now that it is in a little bit of a buggy state, so if you have any cards that shuffle additional cards in your deck, like, let's see, Pack Raptors, or what's in the Ancestors Chosen, or anything like that, it will reveal a card and then shuffle the deck, putting the cards back in your deck, and then you'll draw something completely different. So keep that in mind. There's no way to stop that right now, so if you're playing a deck like that, keep that in mind.
Honestly, I don't care. That's pretty whatever to me. It seems like it'd be worse against mill, obviously. Well, not really, because it's at the start of your turn, and there's not a lot of instant mill. That aside, it's a glorious anthem. I mean, it's a doubling resource, and I mean, it makes all your non-troop, non-resource things cost -1.
Yeah,
Yes, they get to see what's coming, but I think you get a massive, absolutely massive benefit from this card.
Creature decks are going to definitely get the biggest upgrade from this, because most of the time when you're drawing a creature, you're going to be playing it.
I don't know about that, because... Oh, okay, sorry, I read it wrong. Gain a charge. It's not doubling your resources, it's just doubling the hero charges. Okay, honestly, I was getting a little too excited with this card because I thought it doubled
Double
the actual
charges,
amount of
though, are
resources.
really powerful, especially like a Red Rush.
Yeah, in the right deck, it would be, but still. I love this card. It's one of the best cards I've seen to come out. I don't know, it might be my favorite card right now. But that could just be me.
Every card is your new favorite card. Pshaw.
I know, I'm kind of giddy about this game. Next up we have Angel of Dawn. It is a 5-cost, 1 white threshold. Troop Avatar of Hope that's a 4/4 with Flight and Steadfast. But its kicker says, with a 1 white threshold, when you draw this card, if it's the first card you drew this turn, play it for free. Now, I like this card. How about you?
I can see it can be very useful. It has a lot of drawbacks to it. You can't draw it your opening turn because it needs the threshold to be played, but at the same time that's very helpful in case you're playing against the deck and they draw it in their opening hand and then first turn drops down a 4/4 flyer with Steadfast that is pretty much going to destroy you before you're going to be able to get on your feet.
Yeah, I mean, you can still play it your first turn. You just need to make sure it's the actual draw. So you need to either go second, and it can't be in your opening hand. So
with a lot of those search decks, the one that uses the Monk, this card can be very useful because they can kind of set up what they're going to be drawing. So you can have like 4 turns where they're just dropping free Angels of Dawn.
yeah, and I know it has a kind of high mid-range cost for this thing, but even if you do draw it, I mean, even if it is in your open hand and you have to hardcast this sucker, it's not a dead card. Flight and Steadfast for 4/4 for 5. That's still a very, very useful card. I mean, it's almost good on its own merit.
Next up is Hero of Adamant. He is a 5-cost 1-white threshold human warrior troop. As this troop enters play, reveal the top 10 cards of your deck. For each human revealed this way, this troop gets a permanent +2/+2. Shuffle the revealed cards into your deck.
Now he has a little bit of an RNG factor to him, but I guarantee this guy's going to see some play in a red-white rush or red-white inspiration type deck.
Yeah, I just can't base a 5-drop on RNG. If it's a little bit of a lower cost creature, I'm always happy to do RNG because it's like, okay, it's a lower cost, it's going to have a lower probability of doing anything important. But on turn 5, you need a lot more steady and more direct things to happen. I don't want to see 5/5/0/0 come into play and then have a bad hit on it, so it's not going to get at least 5/5 by that point. So I could have games where the RNG is like, well, you didn't see anything, and then he's done. You just lost 5 mana and a card.
I don't know. Okay, hear me out on this, though. Let's just go by averages. Say an average deck is made up of 1/3 land, or 1/3 resources, and 2/3 other cards. Let's say you build a deck, a Steadfast deck, not a Steadfast deck, an Inspiration deck, which is primarily troops. Not hard to do at this current game state. And, okay, you reveal your top 10 cards. Using that same ratio, you're going to get 6 or 7 or 6 or 7 humans. Let's say you get 6. He's a 12/12 for 5. That's just straight averages if you build your deck this way.
Okay.
Is a 12/12 on average good enough for a 5-drop?
Yeah.
And, okay, he's high risk, high reward. You could get 10 resources, but you could also get 10 humans. And that's more likely than getting 10 resources.
Good point. That is a good point.
If you get 10, he's a 20/20. And that's extremely unlikely, but, I mean, on average, he'll be a 12/12. I'd say that's worth it for 5.
Yeah, that's a good point, I gotta say. For 10/10, if you build your deck around that. And probably you'll be cutting out a lot of, actual, spells, if you're playing that kind of deck.
But, I mean, if you're going to be running red-white, there's a lot of good red spells.
Yeah, which we'll be talking about in a few minutes here.
Next up, we have Solitaire Exile. It is a constant with a 2 white threshold for 3, and it says O-Ring. When this card enters play, void another target card. When this constant leaves play, put each card voided by it into play.
What he says by O-Ring is it's a Magic the Gathering card that has been a staple for a lot of years. And this is essentially the same card, but instead of being a circle, it's a cube in the desert.
That's literally the only difference. I mean, I don't want to say it's a ripoff, but
it's a ripoff.
No, I'm not going to say rip-off, because this game obviously draws from Magic, and it's trying to get the players that played Magic. Honestly, I wouldn't be here right now talking about this game if I didn't play Magic first. I wouldn't say it's a rip-off as much as it is an homage, and there's going to be a lot of those, because this game is so similar to that game, and they know what works, and I'm sure that the designers of this game, they all play Magic the Gathering. At least the card designers. Maybe not the art designers, but you know what I'm talking about? O-Ring is a staple in, white control. It's just good. It's got a good cost, good threshold. It's just good.
Yeah, and there's ways for you to kind of... It's very powerful, but there's ways for you to actually benefit from the card being removed. So if you're playing a green deck that is removing constants, and you know that your opponent's going to be doing that, you can actually set up your board to, like, double, like, effects. If someone removes a card that brings cards into play, when it, you know, like token generation, you can bring cards back, put them back to play, draw cards. So there's benefits to having this played on your creatures and being able to destroy it. So it can be a double-edged cube.
Double-edged cube. This is the first legitimate card that I have seen that allows for infinite combos.
I'm scared.
I don't know if there is a card that benefits from constants entering play or not, but 3 of these causes an infinite loop. A cancelable infinite loop. So
Can the game handle it is the question.
I'm sure it can. We'll figure it out. I'd almost like to just play around and see what happens. just sandbox a game with you one of these days and see what happens when you
set up the optimal board for you and then see what happens.
I mean, you have to target it every time, so you could just keep going and annoy the crap. But
there is the timer. You have to keep track of the timer.
That aside, first card I've seen that is an easy infinite loop.
Crushing Blow. It is a 1-cost ruby card. Quick action. Target attacking troop gets +2/+2 and crush this turn.
Decent card.
Very good.
Not much else to say. I mean, it's straightforward.
Very red.
I don't know. Crush to me seems very green, but it synergizes well with red-green, obviously.
Castrol.
So, yeah, it's just a good card. I'm not sure how much competitive play it'll see, but, I mean...
Draft and sealed.
Yeah, extremely good and limited. Next up we have Elimination Specialist. He is a 4-cost dwarf with a 1 threshold. He says, this troop enters play with a rocket counter for each artifact you control, and he has a basic speed action. Remove a rocket counter from this troop, deal 1 damage to target troop. At the end of the turn, remove all rocket counters from this troop. So, not quite as good as Siege Gang Commander, but, yeah. He's okay. He's not my favorite dwarf, honestly. I don't think he would make the cut in my dwarf deck.
He's powerful when he comes into play, but when he finishes the turn off, you're going to lose that effect, so you're going to have to make sure you're dealing that damage on a right turn against the right targets, because you can't target an opponent player, and you must make sure you're just going to wipe the board or get close to it as you can that turn.
He seems like he'd be a decent sideboard card for Rush.
Or Weenies.
Weenies. If you, say you play him with 3 artifacts in play, not particularly difficult to do in an artifact deck. He does 3/1/1 or 3/1 damage shots if you play him on turn 4. I don't know. He's just not. He's not giving me a lot of flavor, but he's an uncommon. So what can you say?
Gor Feast of Cog. Imaginary names. Gor Feast of Cog. Steve.
Yeah. Okay.
Troops you control get Rage 1 this turn. After the first post-cast combat main phase this turn, there is an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. At the start of that combat, ready each troop that attacked this turn.
Yep. Relentless Assault.
So, essentially, it's kind of weird wording, but you attack with all your creatures, I should say, you attack. Play this card, go in your first combat phase, and attack. Then you go into main phase 2, they ready, anything that attacked readies, and then you enter a second combat phase, and then enter a newly created third main phase to end the turn.
Yeah, it's Relentless Assault that gives Rage 1. It's good. Well, it's better than Relentless Assault, so I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has potential.
It has a lot of potential, and for 4, it's not bad.
And with all the decent weenies you can get out, I mean, you can do some serious damage.
Now
we'll see how good it is.
Now with the Rage, do they get to keep the bonus damage that they got, or does the Rage go away with the damage?
No, it's gonna stay.
Oh, so that's gonna have an everlasting effect.
Yeah, Rage stays.
No, it says the Rage stays until end of turn. But I don't know if when they attack, they get the +1 for the Rage. Will that stay?
Whatever. They get Rage 1. Oh yeah, they'll get to keep the attack bonuses, but they won't be able to keep the Rage keyword.
Good. good. That's perfect.
Yeah, if it gave permanent rage, man, this thing would be so good. But yeah, everybody's going to get 2 attack if they survive both rounds. Not bad. Next up, we have the Master Theory Crafter. He is a 2-red, 5-cost Dwarf Warlock that is a 2/2. He is also a socketable Major. Now, when I first read this guy, I'm like, I don't know. Because his ability is 2, tap, create a Warbot, put it into play. It gains speed and the socketed powers of this troop. At the end of the turn, void that Warbot. I'm like, well, why would you play this guy over just a Void Bot? I mean, a Warbot. Yes, it gives you the added benefit of having a disposable Warbot that can block every turn. Having guys with speed are okay. I mean, I just didn't see the utility of this card until I read the new sockets. Holy jeez, these sockets are good.
Oh, not only that, there's some older sockets that are very, very powerful. There's some that say when this creature comes into play, deal damage to target opponents and champion. There's cards that say that you mill cards off your deck. There's all sorts of weird synergy that you can do with this socketing just for that card coming into play, not even having to attack.
Yeah, so coming into play effects that are major sockets are abused by this guy hard. Like he's going in my Dwarf Artifact deck. I'm going to see what I can do with him. I'm intrigued by him.
Yeah, I think we all are. He's very theory crafting.
I mean, Theory Craft is in his name, so that's what I'll have to do with him, huh?
Exactly.
All right.
Eye of Creation. This is a 3x cost with a 3 green threshold. It is a base action. Reveal the top X cards of your deck. Put each troop revealed this way into play. Play each resource revealed this way into play. Shuffle the remaining cards into your deck.
Yet another homage. This one is word for word Genesis Wave. I mean, it doesn't put constants into play, but it's Genesis Wave.
It's very powerful. If you do it on, say, turn 5, the top 5 cards of your deck, if you're playing a green deck...
I mean, if you just have 5 resources, we're talking no ramp, you're getting top 2 cards of your deck.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 plus X.
Yeah, I'm thinking turn 7. I don't know what I'm thinking about.
But, I mean, if you're playing ramp, this is a card you will have in your deck. I can almost guarantee that.
There's no downside to doing it. Yeah, you reveal cards off your deck, but you're going to hit something.
A lot of ramp, though, is non-creature, so if you run into a lot of other ramp cards, that's kind of a downside, but Genesis Wave was a blast to play with.
Oh, it's scary when it's not you doing it.
Yeah, I see no reason not to play this card, especially with all the scary bombs you can play for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
This card's going to see some play.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Plant Garden, the RNG King, right here. This is just a card that doesn't exist in a paper format. Never will. And this is why. It's a constant for 4 cost, 3 green threshold. At the start of your turn, add a seed counter to this constant, then gain 1 life for each seed counter on cards you control. Now, that says all cards you control. Then, if there are 3 or more seed counters on this constant, transform it into a... Okay, now here's where it gets tricky. 60% chance of turning into a Venus Flygorger, 30% chance of turning into a Spore Stalks, or a 10% chance of turning into a Vine Goliath. Now, all 3 of these cards are good, but they're good for different reasons. Tell them why, Water.
Alright, first we have Venus Flygorger. 3 cost, 3 green threshold, 5/5 life drain. Very solid card. Then we have Spore Stalks. This is a 4 cost, 3 green threshold. At the start of your turn, create a Spore Stalk and put it into play. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to target opposing champion for each plant you have. It's a 0/3. And finally, the 10% chance of getting the Vine Goliath. He says, 4 cost, 9/9, Crush, with an exhaust ability, pay 3, exhaust target troop.
Oh yeah, and you don't exhaust the Vine Goliath for this. You just pay the 3 and exhaust target troop. This allows you to swing uninhibited. It allows you to control the game. If you get a Vine Goliath out, game's over. If you're playing ramp. I mean, I just don't see how, unless you're playing against Burn or Mill, if you're playing just a standard curve deck against a standard curve deck, this guy shuts the game down. He's just that good.
Yeah,
but you only have a 10% chance of getting him, so you can't really build a deck around that kind of thing. Honestly, the best out of those three is Spore Stocks. Why? Because it has a geometric curve on it. First, you deal 1 damage, then you deal 4 damage, then you deal... It goes from there. 1 to 4 to 16. It's literally geometric.
Yes.
This guy is busted.
There are other plant cards in the game to keep in mind as well. We do have that nice little Briarthorn Legion. He counts as a plant card. As well as Briarthorn Conjurer creates seed counter, so you'll gain life from her as well.
Yeah, so this will be in... I mean, are there any cards that also have seed counters other than
These
this
are
card?
the only 2 that I know of that have seed counters in
Wait,
them.
does the Briarthorn thing put seed counters on itself?
The Briarthorn plant itself does, but not the spore stalks.
Wow, so... Yeah.
So there's currently 4 plant cards I just looked up in-game. There's the Rose Line, which is a white card. Then you have the Vine Trap, the Vernet Wildboar, and then you have the Plant Garden, which creates the 3. So there's that.
Yeah, not to mention tokens that are plants. So, wow, I really want to build a mono-green plant deck now. If only that Briarthorn thing worked.
Trust me, that was the first thing to, like, Controlled F to find in the patch notes was that.
Yeah. Man, I want... Spore Stocks is just so good.
Because it's a 0/3 blocker that does stuff.
It does stuff geometrically. It's just... love it. So, yeah, all these cards, aside from one, kind of just, like, knocked me off the table. I mean, with their playability level.
Yep.
I'm kind of almost scared because when you release a set of cards, maybe 20% of the cards will end up in constructed playable decks. And it's just they keep releasing cards that are like, yep, I can see that in a deck. Yep, I've seen that in decks and Magic. Yep, I can see that.
This is a core set. You have to have cards that are playable. If you don't have a fun, exciting core set, you're not going to keep people's attention for the next expansions.
Yeah, but you don't want to raise the bar too early, because, I mean, what are they going to do for the next set?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, I highly doubt that. They have so much room to grow.
So now we have 3 new gems that are going to be added to the game. This is something that we didn't know if it was actually going to happen, because last week we were like, will they add more gems? Well, they're adding more gems. The first one is Prime Blood Orb of Brutality. And what it says is, it's a 1 blood threshold. When this troop enters play, target opposing troop gets a permanent minus attack equal to this troop's attack. It's semi-decent, nothing too spectacular.
Is it major or minor?
These are all major.
They're all major.
Yep.
Okay.
Next one is Prime Sapphire of Suffrage. What this one says is, when this troop enters play, each opposing champion buries cards from the top of their deck equal to the troop's combined attack and defense.
Yep. Are there any good mill cards that have socketable majors?
Yes, there's actually... There was that 4-cost 3/3 socketable major who can't be blocked.
Oh, yeah, him.
Yeah, there's him.
Okay, so, yeah.
And finally, there is Blood Orb of Cruelty. This is another one of the blood ones. I'm not sure that blood really has many good sockets to begin with, but this one says, when this troop deals damage to an opposing champion, you may put target troop from your graveyard to your hand.
Yep. That one might go on a Warbot.
Yeah, that's pretty good, especially if you give it speed.
Yeah. Yeah, that might go on the Warbot. I'm not sure. We'll see. Next up, a big announcement. They're adding draft mode!
Yep, draft mode is now live on the alpha servers. Not sure if this is going to be something that's going to be functional right off the bat.
I learned my lesson from trying to painstakingly play Sealed day one. I'm going to give this one a week.
What's funny is when I was actually checking out the cards in-game, Cryptozoic, now, if you're an employee giving announcements to people, your text is now orange. So I kept seeing orange text saying, yeah, the tournament servers are down. Yeah, the tournament servers are down. Yeah, it's still down. Sorry, guys, it's still down.
And I'm not blaming this kind of fault on the development crew at all, because how do you know something's going to break unless you throw it into the fire? So it just happens. I'm sure they'll get the kinks out. I'm still going to wait a week because, man, I was so frustrated playing Sealed day one.
Yeah.
It just knocked me around. I was so excited for it because Sealed's probably my favorite format.
Your favorite format? It's the only format besides Constructed I'm good at.
Well, I didn't say it was the best thing I'm, capable of doing, but it's fun.
What's interesting is, like we mentioned earlier, they redid the whole tournament menu page, so you're able to see which lobbies are open for the tournament draft, which ones are available, and all sorts of fun stuff. Along with that, they also brought in the two currencies in the game. Now that it's alpha, they're not charging for anything. You're still access to all the features for free. But that's something to keep in mind, is that in future editions of the game, you will have to pay for this functionality. That's one of the things that we'll have to see. Time will tell. I know that there's going to be a MVP system that everybody that kickstarted will automatically have that for the first year. I'm not sure if that's going to be something that other players can obtain or if that's going to be something that's exclusive only to the first year. But if I'm guessing, so we'll probably get microtransactions for each draft mode, kind of like they do in Hearthstone.
Speaking of, I finally got around to actually playing Hearthstone today.
Yeah.
It's too simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything is basic speed. You get a resource every... There's no challenge to it. I don't know. I just want to say, if you play Hearthstone and haven't tried this game yet, give this game a try. Seriously. It's like playing with Play-Doh versus Legos.
And the thing is,
you do so much more with Legos.
What I have to laugh about is they just went live, and the game is still an ungodly buggy mess. There's still a lot of visual errors and a lot of stuff that you'd see in an alpha or a beta, and it's in the live game.
I don't know. It's pretty, yeah, and it's smoother than the Hex Alpha right now, but it's too layman for me. I like a little bit of challenge.
I like a little bit more variety, too.
Yeah.
So we mentioned that they brought in the two currencies. They also brought in kind of the store model right now, where you can actually check out and see what is available for sale, in quotation marks. Right now, you can see the booster packs and the 3 starters that are going to be added to the game. What's fun is you can actually see what's going to be breakdown of what's going to be in the deck. You're going to get 3 rares, a bunch of uncommons and commons. And that's going to be, the basic starter that you can buy. Everybody's going to have the equal chance of getting the same cards in there. Then you got the booster packs, and that's about it right now. We're not going to see if there's any boosts, any sort of, special unlocks or anything like that right now. So it shows that there's progress being towards the store, and there's going to be a decent selection.
I don't know. The longer they wait to actually release how much this game's going to cost me, the longer the reprieve my bank account gets.
It's taking like a deep sigh. It's like, not yet, not yet, not yet. We're not going to get charged until beta. I know that for sure. It's hopefully going to be a long ways away where I can still play with cards for free before I have to unlock them.
Do you think they'll actually charge money in beta?
It depends. Blizzard did it in Hearthstone. I'm not sure if the private beta is going to have charging, but I know the open beta is going to be charging because they're going to have to kind of start testing the systems and see how the microtransactions work in a large-scale environment, because that's one of the main things that they got to do.
But I'm not spending money on a beta if what I buy doesn't carry over to release.
The beta, again, back at Hearthstone, they allowed the transfer over, so they might take the same cues.
I don't see anybody buying money for just a beta.
Mm-mm.
But, well, that's just my humble opinion.
My humble opinion?
Quiet.
That's really it for the patch notes. There isn't anything else besides a lot of known issues. That's something we're not going to go over because there's way too many to kind of jump into.
Well, in-game mail, but
that's not actually activated yet.
Well, they said they added it.
It's there. It's just you can't do it yet.
Well, they might not fix it.
Hopefully.
But yeah, other than that, huge patch. Very exciting patch. I am very excited to add, 9 out of 10 of these cards to decks that I already have.
Yeah, for those of you who do not know how to draft, we're going to probably do a draft tutorial, show you how the kind of rhythm of drafting works, because it's something that takes a little bit of finesse to learn, and it's going to be a lot easier since it's going to be automated through the game system, and you don't have to worry about people moving around cards and not doing packs fast enough, and you're kind of just sitting there waiting, so it's going to be useful.
Yeah, can we just wrap this up? I need to put some of these cards in my deck.
Oh, fine.
Seriously, I want to test out the infinite loop. And you're going to do this with me. I need a guinea pig.
Aww. Well, this has been Water Elemental, aka Guinea Pig Elemental.
That's right, and this has been Jolly Green.
Alright guys, thanks for watching and see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.